Hey everyone, welcome to Hardscape. Today we're going to be aquascaping this brackish nano tank. So what are we going to do in this tank? Well, let me show you. I decided early on I wanted to have something that had a rustic, beachy feel. I also wanted to go with more traditional hardscape elements. I decided to go with a custom mix of aragonite sand, miracle mud, as well as some small shells and pebbles mixed in for texture and a more natural look. All I'm doing here is just sloping the sand towards the back. It helps give a sense of depth to the whole scape. Next, I went with my new favorite, dragonwood. This stuff is amazing. I got it from my friends over at Buce Plants. They have some awesome choices of hardscape materials. And I found that if you want unique hardscape elements, they're the place to go. I wanted a really dramatic look for this little tank, and this dragonwood really achieves that look. And the cool thing about it is that it kind of locks together like Legos. So with a little creativity and some super glue, you can get some really cool scenes with this wood. I also decided to add in some Stone rubble. I think it helps accent and frame in the wood. I wanted to keep it simple though, so I decided to use mostly wood for my hardscape. I just placed them around the base of the wood until I was happy with how it looked. Again, I would recommend getting more than what you need when it comes to hardscape materials. It really helps to be more creative when you have more to work with, and you can always use the extras in another scape or trade with some friends. So with most types of driftwood, dragonwood will leach some tannins. This is pretty natural, and I actually like the look of it, but if it bothers you, it's pretty easy to fix with some water changes and even some carbon in your filter. I'll also note that when using any kind of driftwood, it's best to waterlog your wood ahead of time, or at least glue it down to something heavier because they will float up when you fill up the tank. I also added some pebbles. It helps break up the line between the hardscape and the sand, plus it just looks a little bit more natural. So remember, when placing any pebbles or accent stones around the rocks or wood, remember to do it in a way that you would see in nature. Keep in mind things like flow and weight. And if you can, having several different sizes and colors helps give a more natural look, as nature is rarely uniform. This time, I also added some shells to help add to that beachy look that I'm going for. You don't have to add shells, but I like the beachy feel it gave the scape. And I think it'll give the inhabitants some extra places to explore, and it adds that extra touch of realism as well. And like the pebbles, I'm just placing these around the scape in a way that is aesthetically pleasing, and I'm also keeping in mind how flow might affect their placement. I might also note that if you place these before filling the tank, they're likely going to float up. I learned this the hard way, so maybe add them after. As far as the hardscape, we're pretty much done here. And for plants, I'm going to go very simple here, and I'm only going to be using one plant. Mangroves. That's right, just mangroves. They're really slow growing, and they're really great for nutrient export. But let's be honest, they just look really cool. When placing them in the tank, you have a few options. You can just place them in the tank and let the roots grow down to the sand, or you can plant them directly into the sand. It's really up to you and the look that you're going for. Both are fine for the plant. Just be careful with the roots, as these plants can be pretty sensitive. I've noticed if you don't rinse your sand, aragonite can get really cloudy really quickly. It has a lot of dust in it, and it will eventually settle in a few days. Unfortunately, I didn't film this part, but the lighting and the way I placed the mangroves just weren't vibing with me. So I ended up changing some things so it fit the look and feel that I was going for. At this point, I'm pretty sure you can see the things moving around in the tank. Unfortunately, I ended up losing the footage of me putting them into the tank. This happens sometimes, but it's okay. So I decided to add some really cool little fish to this tank. Endler's live bears. These guys are so much fun, and they really liven up the space. They're always darting around the tank and following me around begging for food. Definitely a great addition to the Hardscape family. As well as them, I also added a couple of Bumblebee Gobies. They're a bit shy, but when they do choose to show themselves, it's really fun to observe. They are a bit picky though, and really only like meaty foods that are moving. So live is best, but these guys seem to be eating frozen foods for me pretty well. I also have some Narrite Snails in here. Narrite Snails are great algae eaters, but they will leave tons of little white eggs all over the tank, so keep that in mind. The tank might be a little overstocked at the moment, and I'll be keeping my eyes on the parameters to see if I need to intervene at all. But so far things have been fine. I really hope this gives you some inspiration to set up a fun little or even big brackish tank. Well, what do you think? Could brackish be for you? I really hope you'll give it some consideration, especially if you're a bit more experienced in this hobby and want to try something different. And having a salty tank really isn't much more difficult, but it is another parameter to watch, so keep that in mind. Well, that's all for today's video, friends. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Also, be sure to check out my friends at buceplant.com. That's where I got the wood for this scape, and this beautiful rimless tank. So go ahead and check them out, and I've left a link to their site in the description. They've been an amazing resource for me in this hobby, especially when it comes to amazing plants and aquascaping supplies. Thanks again everyone for watching. Have a great day and enjoy nature in your aquarium.